Welcome to this week's Rogers McHugh YouTube video. In this week's episode, we're going to look at how you can improve your recruitment business. Let's go! Welcome to this week's Rogers McHugh YouTube video. So in this week's episode, slight deviation from what we would normally be discussing, and we're going to look at how you can improve your recruitment business. And this video was brought about by a conversation I was having with another recruitment business owner. He's a one-man band. We're having a chat about how he could take the business to the next level. He asked me if I had any ideas, and this was kind of what I sort of came up with, really. Sort of 5 things on how he could improve his business and what things he could put in place that would improve what he was doing. So the first thing to say is that obviously some of these aren't going to be right for everybody. Some people will be doing these already, some people won't, but it just gives you a bit of an idea of what I think you need to be looking at in order to propel your business forward. And the first one, and this was quite key for him because he had one major client that was giving him 80% of his revenue. No more than 10% of your revenue from one client. If you've got one large client that's giving you all your revenue, if they then go out of business, if they have a change of management at the top and they decide that they're not using agencies or they're going to use a different agency, you've lost a lot of your business. If no client accounts for more than 10% of your revenue, then if you lose one of your businesses or one of your clients, it's disastrous. Nobody likes to lose business, but it's not going to be the end of the world. It's not going to be the end of your business because you've diluted down what they're providing you. So it's important that you, and I like to frame this as a little bit of money from a lot of people a lot of the time. So I'm a big advocate of temp revenue and temp agencies because you're getting that regular cash flow coming in. They're transacting with you a lot of the time, they're constantly speaking to you, whereas if it's a perm only business, the clients might be transacting with you once a year, once every other year, some of them, the smaller ones. You want to try and get that transaction level up and get them to transact with you a lot more because that builds loyalty. If you look at supermarkets, everybody shops at the same supermarket every week because it's ingrained. That's what they do. They're loyal to the supermarket that they shop at, but they transact with them at least once a week, if not twice or 3 times a week. So they get that loyalty from the consistency of the transactions. So making sure that no more of your revenues coming from no more than 10% of your revenues coming from any one client. And if you're in a position at the minute where that is the case and you have got a big client that you're reliant on, you need to dilute them. Now that doesn't mean you stop filling jobs for them. That means that you go and get other clients that then brings the percentage of their spend across your whole business down. And the second thing, understand the numbers. So they didn't get management accounts. They didn't really have a profit and loss account. They didn't really know what profit they were making. And obviously recruitment is like any business. It's important that you get your head around it. What's your average value? What's your average placement fee? How many placements do you need to make to hit your targets? What's your profitability? What are your expenses? Where are your expenses going? How can you cut your cost accordingly? And you can't manage your business based on what you've got in the bank because you've got your VAT bill that's going to become payable. So you think that you're doing really well, and then all of a sudden, once a quarter, you've got a VAT bill to pay, and the bank balance takes a hit. It's important to understand how profitable you're being, and recruitment can be tough to do at times because you are dealing with a bit of an elongated sales process. You might make a sale in January. They accept the candidate. The candidate's then on a 4-week notice, so he doesn't start till February. You issue the invoice at the start of February when the candidate starts. They might be on 60-day payment terms, so that's April before you get the money. So from a fee agreed in January, at the beginning of January, you're getting the money in April. It can be an elongated process. You need to understand the numbers. You need to understand where your profitability sits. You need to understand what your gross profit is. You need to understand what your expenses are. And you need to get your head around that. And you should constantly be producing management accounts every month to demonstrate that because, like I say, it's difficult in recruitment because of the elongated process of making the placement and getting paid. It can sometimes throw that off and people don't understand that, and you certainly can't manage the profitability of the business through the bank balance. That just doesn't work. If you've got a team, and we're now, I'm sort of throwing this forward to assuming that you're not a one-man band like the gentleman was that I was speaking to. Training's key. Normally what happens in recruitment, we're terrible for it, is people come in, they get trained, they get told how to do the job, and then they get left, and just left and left and left. Apple spend hours every week training their staff. And you go into an Apple store, and it's like a machine, it just works because they're constantly trained. I don't want to turn this into a religious podcast, but if you are religious, if you're a Catholic or however, whatever faith you follow, Muslim or whatever it might be, it's not training, is it? But you go to church every week. They tell you about your faith every week. They're constantly reminding you about your faith every week because they want you to live your life in the way that they believe it should be lived. And they train you up to do that by these constant meetups every week. How many of your staff have you trained recently? Even the best recruiters, they value the training, they value the time that you put aside. And it might not be on necessarily how to recruit. It could be an area of the job that they're not doing well, or that they need support on, or they've not been as exposed to it. If you've got a recruiter that's been there for years and doing really well, the chances are they're phone recruiters. They're always on the phone. They probably don't do much on LinkedIn, as an example. So could you help them create LinkedIn content? Could you help them build their brand on LinkedIn? And could that generate more revenue for them, therefore for the business? And obviously they'll value that. But don't stop training your staff. It's the famous quote, isn't it? Well, what if I spend all my time training my staff and they leave? And the response is, well, what if I don't train the staff and they stay? So never stop training your staff, and that's something that we're really trying to get better at the minute. Systems and processes. You've got to have systems and processes in place as you build the business, because you're going to be wanting everybody to do the same thing, and that doesn't mean that you've got to be heavily KPI driven. It doesn't mean that you've got to be insisting that they're on the phone 2 hours a day. But if you go into McDonald's in Manchester and you order a cheeseburger, that cheeseburger is going to be made in exactly the same way and taste exactly the same as if you order it in London. And that's what you want to get out of your business. You want everybody to be doing things the same way. So if a client rings up one person, they take the job spec, they follow the process, they provide the shortlist in exactly the same way as another person, another consultant would. And you want that to be seamless across the business. So it doesn't matter who's dealing with the clients, how they're dealt with, the processes they follow are exactly the same. And again, that's also something that we're really keen on working on. And the last one, you've got to build a business to sell, even if you've got no intention of selling it, because it puts you in good habits. So part of the reason that this gentleman and I were speaking is because he was getting frustrated that he was doing everything, he was on his own, and he couldn't sell it. He could never sell his business because what has he got to sell? He's on his own, he's got a bit of a database, but all his clients have got relationships with him. If he sells his business, those relationships go. There's nothing really tangible there, and he's like, I feel like I'm going to be doing this forever. And he's probably not far off the truth. Build a business to sell even if you've got no intention of selling it, because it instills good values. You're going to be producing monthly management accounts. You're going to be building a team. You're going to be building a management layer as well that's going to manage those people. You're going to constantly be upskilling your staff. So even if you've got no intention of selling your business, you should make sure that that's how you build the business. So 5 ways there that I think you can build a better recruitment business. Like I say, a little bit of a deviation from our normal videos, but I wanted to sort of put out there what I'd spoke to this gentleman about and what I think are the key things in terms of building a better business. So hope you've liked this, even though it is slightly obscure from what we would normally put out, and I'd be interested to know, put in the comments if you have enjoyed this video and if you want more content like this. I'm more than happy to do that, but most importantly, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get the views out, we're trying to get more people viewing the channel, and the YouTube algorithms love subscribers, so the more subscribers we get, the more people will view the videos. So subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back next week with another video. See you then.